gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm over at Rebecca and Alex's house, and we're going to put a new front tire with a tubeless setup on it, because tubes are for suckers and mooses are for people who have more money than I do. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Why would we go tubeless? In this video, we're going to talk about advantages, disadvantages, install, process, and maintenance, because those are basically the things we care about, right? That's what I care about anyway. Real quick, before we get started, your insert options are a standard inner tube, a tubeless install from someone like Nuetech, or a moose. Mooses are made by a lot of different companies, and they're basically just pool noodles that go in your tires. This video, though, is about tubeless. If you are choosing tubeless, some of the things you want to consider are which tire you're using. This is an IRC Gakota IX09 gummy tire. It's very soft. You can see it's super squishy. This is actually not a perfect tubeless tire. I'm gonna do it anyway. When it comes to doing a tubeless install, it's fairly straightforward. The requirements are a drill, the right size drill bit, which you can pick up at any hardware store, and then probably about 3 tire spoons. You can use any tire spoons you want. Harbor Freight, Motion Pro, it doesn't make a difference. 3 tire spoons. So first and foremost, clean the inside of the rim, move 4 spokes over from your valve stem hole, and drill a hole with a recommended drill bit size. I'm gonna put that right here, because I can't remember it off the top of my head. Once you have that hole drilled, deburr everything, and then tape the rim. Nuetech includes rim tape with the Tubeless Install kit. They recommend you do a center bead, a left bead, and a right bead, and wrap the whole tire 3 times, then poke the holes and clean that out. Once you've got that, it's important that you lubricate the inner tube with an Armor All type or any type of cleaner similar to Armor All, basically just to give it a little bit of slip. Just a little wiggle inside of that foam. Your tubeless bladder is gonna go right here, and it pushes the sidewall against the rim so that your tire stays in place. As long as you can do the install without puncturing the inner bladder, you're golden, pony boy. Once we've got that lubricated, we're gonna insert the 2 valve stems into the holes we just drilled in the rim, loosely fit both of the nuts on them, and then spoon them on. They should go on pretty easy. If they don't, you probably are trying to put an 18-inch on a 21-inch. Don't do that, it doesn't work. Ask me how I know.
That's too small.
Once you've got that in place, they've got a guide plate that goes right in the middle of the tire. It's a metal plate that allows you to push the rim into the 2 sides of the tire. Softer tires make this easier. The trick here is to push down on the top of the tire, and then start spooning your tire on to the rim 1 side at a time. Once you've got it done, it's basically just a matter of seating the bead. It's really helpful if you add a little soapy water to it. I have a Sriracha bottle that I honestly just keep around for soapy water installs. I mean, it's adorable. So once you've got that in, you want to inflate the inner bladder to 110 PSI and then the outer bladder to whatever desired pressure you want. The advantages of tubeless is that you can tune it based on your tire and based on your terrain. So if you're gonna run fast on hard pack and you're mostly worried about your turning and cornering speed, go ahead and air up to 12 PSI. But if you're gonna run hard enduro stuff, you can drop down to 4, 3 PSI. I don't know, I find my sweet spots right about 4.5 to 5 PSI in the rear, and then 9.5 to 10.5 PSI in the front. Why the halves? I don't know, because I'm 5'11" and 3/4, so everything's gotta round up. While tubeless is definitely a better system than an inner tube, it still does have its disadvantages. The disadvantages to tubeless are the sidewall punctures and the tread punctures that unfortunately you're just gonna have to deal with, whereas with a moose, you never have to worry about that problem. As far as maintenance is concerned on a tubeless setup, this is where people kind of find them irritating. You've got to check your tire pressures before every single ride. And I mean every day. Legitimately, I check them every day, even if I rode yesterday. I always set my high pressure side to 110 PSI, and I always set my low pressure side based on the situation that I'm riding in for that day. It takes a couple more minutes. I make it part of my routine. Fill the bike up with gas, check my high pressure sides, check my low pressure sides, and then go for a rip and enjoy the best traction possible. As a separate maintenance thing that I'd like to bring up, because I've had this come in handy a couple times, when your tire starts just losing pressure over time and you can't hold 4 to 10 PSI over a multi-day period, Generally, I find if you fill up that same Sriracha bottle with a little soapy water and inject it through the low pressure valve stem, it'll usually help that bead reseat. Add some soapy water to it, that generally fixes the problem. If it doesn't, it'll show you where your air leak is and you can drop a rope plug in there. Speaking of dropping things places, what do you guys think? Drop a comment down below. Let me know if you think Tubeless is a good system or a bad system, and then like the video if you found it helpful at all. Come back next week. We've got content coming out all the time. Hopefully you find this helpful and at the very least entertaining, and we'll see you in the next video. What did I say we were going to talk about? Install process, advantages, disadvantages.
Does it matter that I take care of my tools when other people don't?
I was gonna ask if you wanted to do that.